Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 10 of our TCW Save and TEW 2020. This is Total Wrestling for February week 2. As I mentioned to you guys last week, I had a work thing all week this week, so that's why there weren't many videos up on the channel. I did put the state of AEW for September of 2022. That was our next episode in the series. I put that up, and in all honesty, it's not because I recorded it this week. It's because I honestly forgot that I had recorded it a couple weeks ago. So I did put that up actually in the middle of the week, but didn't just get a chance to record any videos during the week, but back at it now as we get to Total Wrestling and continue the road to the war to settle the score. And so let's get things started here. Sorry, you can hear my voice. It's a little, I seem to lose my voice. It seems like every month or two now, and it just seems to happen for whatever reason, like I said. So, all right, let's talk about what's going on here as we start off Total Wrestling. And it is our baby faces coming out. The crew is here. Aaron Andrews, Sammy Bach, TBone, Chance Fortune, One Man Army, and Kyle Rhodes is in the ring. And Rhodes lets us know that there is still no sign of the Syndicate, who we did not see last week after everything that happened at the end of Malice in Wonderland. But we know that Aaron Andrews and company laid down the challenge, a 5-on-5 match for the war to settle the score. So Kyle Rhodes into the ring here, and I know I've got Wolf pulled up here, but that's just for a nice little popularity boost for the rating. But hey, it happens every now and then. So come out, but it's also worth noting that with them is Daryl Divine. And if we remember, Daryl Divine was essentially taken out by the Elite, Eddie Chandler and Nate Johnson, at Malice in Wonderland during the match, after the match. And so Divine's kind of been out of action, and that's what we've been pushing. But Divine is back out here now. And Andrew says, he's the one kind of leading the way here as our world champion. And the ace himself says they're all still waiting for the Syndicate. No one seems to know where Wolf Hawkins is at and the Syndicate. Where are they? But they know how this works. They know that they're just waiting and waiting and waiting for the right moment. But Aaron Andrews says they will not, be sort of, susceptible for them to attack them, essentially. But that's, when Aaron Andrews says, but we're waiting too. So we will be ready whenever you decide to show up. And that is when Andrews says, and we know we've got some big matches tonight, because tonight it's going to be TBone and Chance Fortune teaming up once again, as they're going to be in tag team action. But in our main event, it's also going to be Sammy Bach and One Man Army teaming up, as they're going to take on Freddie, Huggins, and Matt Hocking in our main event. So that's kind of playing off, the match we had last week with Bach and Huggins. So, 2 tag team matches kind of to continue basically forming the chemistry as a team. And that's what Andrews points out here. They're forming their chemistry, so they're ready for the war to settle the score. But they don't know if the Syndicate are going to accept this challenge, because they will not come face them, man to man. And so Andrews kind of laying down the gauntlet here. And so afterwards, he says, these 4 guys, they'll be in tag team action. Me and Daryl Divine, we're going to be back there training to work as hard as we can to be ready to go for the war to settle the score. We know it's a little bit of a longer road for Daryl Divine at this point, but Andrew says, I will be cleared, and I'm going to do everything I can to help Daryl Divine get cleared so that he and Chance Fortune can take out the Elite once and for all. So kind of pushing a lot of buttons here, and it's just kind of the baby faces delivering their message that they are completely on the same page here, and they are going to, work on their chemistry tonight with a couple different tag team matches. So there you go. These 4 in tag action. Andrews and Divine off to work on their training to get ready to go, to get cleared. 84 to start things off. All right, opening match. We keep TBone and Chance Fortune out there because they're in tag team action, as we said. And it is TBone and Fortune getting the win over Maverick and Mark Speed, 758. TBone pins Maverick with a power slam. 65 for this one. Pretty good. TBone's in-ring performance is pretty good. Continues to be that way. 68, Fortune off his game. But again, just kind of giving the babyface a little bit of momentum here in tag team action. All right, then it's Ed Stone, who's back in singles action, as we saw him return at Malice in Wonderland, beat Matt Hocking in the M-Hawk, the Matt Hocking Open Challenge. And yes, Ed Stone comes back, gets a win over Roderick Remus here. 10-12, our first singles match for Roderick Remus. We've been teaming him up with Jeremy Courtney. Like I said, I like some things about Remus, and we've got an idea on how I want to use him in the future. But for now, kind of in a holding pattern, but a decent match here. So 71, Remus with 54, 70 for Stone on the in-ring performance. But this is mainly just to get Stone over, pushing him as someone, is a top-tier guy in our company, and we saw that beating Matt Hocking and as having the back and forth with Freddie Huggins, which, speaking of Freddie Huggins, after the match, 69, nice rating here. Stone sort of celebrating his win over Remus. And here comes Freddie Huggins, who walks over and demands that Kyle Rhodes stand up and hand him a microphone. And, Huggins starts to go at none other than who? Ed Stone standing in the ring. But Freddie Huggins says, Ed, we go back a long way. And I know you keep trying to get your nose in my business, and I'm going to give you the opportunity because I know someone else doesn't want to put their nose in my business, and that's that coward Aaron Andrews. So Freddie Huggins continuing to taunt Aaron Andrews here. And he just says, so Ed Stone, here's what we're going to do. You're going to sit around and try to put your nose in my business. Well, we're going to finish this once and for all. You may think that you got the upper hand on us when you beat the M-Hawk over here at Malice in Wonderland, but let's see if you can beat me because we've been in the ring before, we've gotten the better of each other, but we all know by now I'm the one that's championship material, and I'll get my opportunity whenever Aaron Andrews decides to stop being a coward, and I'm going to prove it by beating you. So Huggins issuing the challenge to Ed Stone for the war to settle the score, and Ed Stone not waiting. He just nods his head and says, you're on. I'll beat you just like I have before. So Freddie Huggins all of a sudden a little confident here. We've seen Freddie kind of backtrack a little bit now, but the confidence going up with Freddie, and he's decided that he's just going to throw down the gauntlet. As we've seen them kind of use some heel tendencies, retreating a bit and that kind of stuff, but Freddie here laying down the challenge. So does Freddie have something up his sleeve as he issues the challenge to Ed Stone? And it is official. Freddie Huggins, Ed Stone, one-on-one, the war to settle the score. So there's another match added to the card, and we'll see how it continues to develop moving forward. All right, the Titan here gets the win over Dean Daniels. This gets a 58, so not really much, but this is really about giving the Center Society a little bit of momentum back after losing those tag team championships, which we'll see them a little bit more here in a second. But Titan gets the win over Daniels. Daniels a road agent, older guy. We're not doing anything with him. 706, Titanic chokeslam here, 59 for Titan. We did do a wild brawl because we had to have that, so that played to Titan's strengths, I assume, but that's about it. So not much here other than just giving Titan a win. But afterwards, it is Eddie Peak and the Center Society. So they are out here, and essentially we're going to go straight into our next match here, as it's supposed to be Killer Shark going one-on-one with Danny Fonzarelli. And we know last week the Fawns did not show up for his scheduled match against Joshua Taylor, which led to Taylor getting a match this week against Flying Jimmy Fox, which we'll get to here in a second. But Center Society's out there. They're going to go from one match to another. Titan just got a win. Now it's Killer Shark's turn. Well, they're waiting for the Fawns. And once again, there's no Fawns. Fawns does not come out for his scheduled match. Even Kyle Rhodes on commentary here saying, at this point, guys, the Fawns has to be getting fined by, the booking committee here for not coming out for these scheduled matches. And so, they're wondering what is going on with the Fawns. We've not seen him since Malice in Wonderland. He lost the match to Chord, got basically beaten down after the match. But we've not seen him show up now 2 straight weeks for scheduled matches. What is happening with the Fawns? So afterwards, he realizes not coming out. Essentially a forfeit here. Killer Shark gets the win. And we see Eddie Peak kind of stare into the camera and say that they'll be watching the Tag Team Championship match tonight as Mighty Mo and Tana defend the titles against the debuting Rich and Famous. So Shark and Titan still with their eyes on these Tag Team titles, but no match here between Shark and the Fawns. 73 for this segment. All right, speaking of Taylor and Fox, as we said, that was a match we had on the card here, and it is Joshua Taylor getting the win. 10:05, the butterfly lock here, 74 for this one. Taylor with a 72 on the in-ring performance, still benefiting from that hot new move. I don't really know what to look at here, but inconsistency seems to be something that kind of holds us back a little bit. But Fox is fine for what he is. Taylor, we know, is a good worker. But Taylor kind of stepping up the competition. We've seen him beat some developmental guys for several weeks. Saw him get a win, in sort of easy fashion, I guess you could say, against Elliot Thomas, I think it was, at Malice in Wonderland. So Taylor continues his winning streak after losing that championship match back at Psycho Circus. So now continues his little streak here as he gets a win over Flying Jimmy Fox. But what's important is kind of how this plays out with this whole situation. And that is sort of, we kind of are playing this into, this is sort of, happening simultaneously where Taylor gets the win and then all of a sudden, Benson's on the outside and this gets a 50. So Ernest Youngman, who we've seen in the crowd multiple weeks in a row now, we saw him debut at Malice in Wonderland. He, Benson's kind of right there and we can see Youngman kind of just sitting there, cold stare, and then Benson all of a sudden turns around as, he looks at Youngman, realizes he's there, and Benson starts kind of jawing at him. We saw that a little bit with Flying Jimmy Fox last week, but now Benson starts jawing at him. Fox is in the ring, just got taken out by Joshua Taylor, and that is when Youngman does not hop the rail. He pulls Benny Benson into the crowd, and then he sort of hits his finisher. Now, I'm going to give you guys the option here. The finisher for Ernest Youngman, he's, the assassin. His finisher is called the hit. Now, I want you guys to come up with an idea. What should his finisher be? Because here's how we're playing it. So, he's pulling Benson into the crowd, and he's hitting his finisher. But we want it to be such an impactful finisher that it takes out Benny Benson. And Benson's he's done for right here. So, I'm trying to think of what the best finisher is for Ernest Youngman. The hit. I mean, is it as simple as a punch? Is it as simple as a kick? I don't know. But he's an impactful style wrestler. We need a finisher for Ernest Youngman because it's going to play into what we're doing here by him just taking out Benny Benson in the crowd. And so that's what happens here. So Youngman, finally getting a little physical here with Benson and Fox. We've seen this going on for a couple weeks, just kind of the stare down and stuff. But now the assassin strikes, and he strikes Benny Benson, takes him out of the crowd. And, Fox goes over afterwards, and we've got officials checking on Benny Benson and all that good stuff. So more to come on that 50 for this one. All right, Mighty Meaty, our tag team champions, Tana and Mo here. They take on the debuting Rich and Famous, and it is our champions retaining the title. Tana pins Jackpot Jordan with the big fat Samoan squash. What a finisher. As they are successful in their first title defense here. Mighty Mo at the top in terms of in-ring performance. Tana not too far behind at 62. But Rich and Famous, look, they weren't going to win the titles in their debut, but we need them to grow some popularity a bit. But this is good to have them in this kind of match because it gets to 70. This will benefit them in this spot. But we've actually got a pretty fun story to tell with Rich and Famous. It'll take a little while to play out, but we're working on it, and I think you guys will enjoy where it heads. But for now, they lose their opening match here in TCW as Mighty Meaty retains the title. But perhaps more importantly, nothing from the Center Society after the match. There's nothing here. So just a successful title defense, and we'll see what happens with Mo and Tana moving forward towards War to settle the score. All right, now we get a video looking at our TV championship match, as it is Greg Gage defending the championship against Dazzling Dave Diamond, set up last week. We kind of, Diamond got a win. Gage came out, kind of circling the ring a little bit. And so, yeah, it is Greg Gage getting ready to defend his title. So we kind of just see some highlights of both guys. Gage talking about how he's not going to let some barroom brawler take his championship from him, which is, kind of the gimmick for Dazzling Dave Diamond here. So Gage kind of pushing that, his legacy, and he's not going to get beat by some, barroom brawler. And that is when Diamond's kind of talking about the importance of this. Former international champion is Dazzling Dave Diamond. That championship no longer active. But, Dave's kind of pointing out he wants, more titles. He wants to kind of add to his own kind of thing. But most importantly, he just wants a fight. And that's what Dave is always looking for, is a good fight. So 63, that sets us up for our TV championship match. Greg Gage defending against Dazzling Dave Diamond. And in a 74 match here, this is actually much better than expected in terms of Dazzling Dave. And oh, here we go. I could not have thought that. Okay, so let's talk about the finish first. So the finish is that basically what we're pushing here is that Dazzling Dave starts off as the aggressor in this match, and he's not letting up. He's in control here, and it's at every corner, he's getting a near fall on Greg Gage. And Greg Gage is kind of, taken aback here as he thought he'd be able to come out, kind of use his style to really control this match. But it's really the difference where Dazzling Dave is using his power and his brawling ability to really just take over this match, and he's in control most of the way. And so at every turn, Gage is kind of escaping these near falls. But finally, just when we think that Dazzling Dave has got this thing won, Greg Gage just slides out and grabs his title, and it's almost a mirror image of what he saw last week, where Gage was walking around ringside, kind of circling the ring with his championship in hand. Gage walks out, grabs his title, and gets counted out intentionally here as Dazzling Dave gets the win, but he's not your TV champion, as Greg Gage kind of outsmarts him a little bit here and decides that I think, again, he was taken aback. He did not expect this kind of performance from Dazzling Dave, who we know is not the stamina machine, which is why we only made this match an 8-minute match. But I'm shocked that these two have great chemistry. I don't know why. I just feel like these two are on such opposite ends of the spectrum here that I would have not have expected that. But as you guys know, we did do an intentional count-out finish, which means what? We're we're probably going to do this match again. So I'm actually excited that they have good chemistry because I would not have expected that with these two. But a 74, hey, maybe we can do better when we get to the next match, which, like I said, I know you guys probably know is going to happen, but there's a reason for that. Look, Dazzling Dave still penalized for stamina. 7 or 8 minute match. So you really can't go more than 5 minutes with this guy, or it's all over. So there you go. Anyways, more to come as we move towards the pay-per-view, and you guys can probably have a good guess of where we're going with that. So, all right, now we get Kyle Rhodes and his guest. Yes, it's Jay Chord again, who for the second straight week, not wrestling on Total Wrestling. And that is when, Kyle Rhodes just says, Jay Chord, I've been informed that you had a match here scheduled tonight as you were supposed to take on Bart Biggins. It was something earlier in the day where, the committee told you that you were going to take on Bart Biggins and you turned it down and you accepted a fine. We were talking about fines earlier with Danny Fonzarelli. You accepted the fine instead of taking the match with Bart Biggins. And Kyle Rhodes is like, what are you thinking? Like, you're a wrestler. Why are you not wrestling? And that is when Jay Chord says, Kyle Rhodes, you did not seem to hear me last week. I will not wrestle again inside of a TCW ring until I get the level of competition that I deserve as a future world heavyweight champion, as someone who's going to fulfill their destiny. I will not fight Bart Biggins. I will not fight Danny Fonzarelli. I will not fight anyone that I do not think is on my level. And that is, Jay Chord continues to push this, that he's still waiting for competition and that apparently there's no one that can sort of match what he needs to fulfill his destiny. But Jay Chord says there is one person that could do that, but I know, like some other people have said, he's probably too much of a coward to give that opportunity right now. And we all know who I'm talking about. So Jay Chord alluding to Aaron Andrews here. So everyone, here's the kind of things that I like. I like when you've got these top heels and everyone wants a shot at the champion, right? Like you got a babyface champion. So we're kind of keeping that running theme. You guys have seen we've got Freddie Huggins continually taunting Aaron Andrews. Jay Chord here bringing up that to fulfill his destiny, it's going to take beating Aaron Andrews, who's the world champion. So we're continuing to push that theme, but also pushing the theme that Jay Chord will not wrestle until he feels like he's got the proper competition. And Chord just walks out here and continues kind of his stand that he's not going to wrestle until he gets the right competition. So what's going to happen with Jay Chord? 77 for this one. All right, that leads us to our main event, as it is Sammy Bach and One Man Army, and they do get the win over Freddie Huggins and Matt Hocking, as it is One Man Army getting the pin on Matt Hocking with the guided missile. Here in this one, Freddie kind of laying outs, and it seems like yet again letting Matt Hocking take the beating here, which we've seen a couple times since this partnership was formed last month. 78, so pretty solid main event here for this one. Sammy with a 76, Freddie with a 74, Hocking with a 64. I'm surprised and impressed by that. One Man Army 63. So good in-ring performances from these four on this. So good match, and again, kind of pushing the teamwork here. So TBone and Fortune get a win, Bach and One Man Army get a win. The babyfaces are riding high as they head towards the war to settle the score. Or are they? Because after the match, we get a 68 for this segment. As we get Kyle Rhodes, and this has happened before, right? Telling us that there is a situation going on in the parking lot. And you guys who watch all my other series, you're going to laugh at this because we laugh at our WWE series where all this, and there's so much stuff that happens in the parking lot. It's like the NXT parking lot in reality. So we've got this, and that's when Kyle Rhodes says there's a situation. We're getting our cameras back there now. There's a situation going on in the parking lot. And inside this parking lot, we see Daryl Divine, who has just been beaten down, and he's bloody. So Divine has been taken out, all right? But he's not just taken out. He's handcuffed to this, whatever, pole or whatever you want to say, in the parking lot. So this guy has been handcuffed now in the parking lot. And that is when we see TBone and Chance Fortune making their way over, and they see that Divine has been handcuffed. He's been taken out. Of course, there's no Aaron Andrews here, but if you remember when we started the show, what was the thing that Aaron Andrews said? He and Daryl Divine were going to be together because they were going to go, do their physical therapy. They were going to train for their, eventual comeback in the ring. Well, Divine's been taken out, handcuffed, and bloody. TBone and Fortune run over. We've got some officials coming over. T-Bone's trying to figure out, hey, what's going on here? What happened? You got to tell us what happened. Divine's kind of out of it, though. You don't really know what's going on. So we see Divine. Don't really say a lot here because, again, he's been taken out. But he starts pointing. And he points, and then we see beyond, kind of in the background here, past T-Bone and Chance Fortune, there is a car. And there is a car that all of a sudden speeds off in the distance. And what do these two do? They connect the dots here of where is Aaron Andrews? Because we know he was with Daryl Divine. They spelled it out earlier. That was what the situation was. So T-Bone and Fortune go over. They hop in their car here. So they're now sped off into the distance, right? They start chasing this car. Don't worry, we're not getting into high-speed car chases here. But these guys are going that way. But then, all of a sudden we've got speeding off. So they've been essentially told that they pretty much put it together. Aaron Andrews in this car, and he has a pretty good idea of who's behind this, right? Well, we'll see. So cameras go back to the ring. And Kyle Rhodes, is kind of sitting there saying, folks, we don't know what's going on. We will keep you, apprised of what's happening here. There's clearly something going on. Daryl Divine has been taken out. T-Bone and Chance Fortune have chased this car. We don't know who's in the car. We don't know who's driving the car. We have no idea. But then we have some officials ringside, and that's when Bach and One Man Army are informed of what's happening here. And so we get to that where officials are alerting that, Bach and Army, what's going on backstage, this situation. Divine's been taken out. T-Bone and Fortune are on their way chasing this car. So they get alerted. And as soon as we kind of see it visually, we don't get on a microphone or anything, but we see them being alerted. Bach jumps out of the ring, Army jumps out of the ring, and they're getting ready to take off. 81 for this one. But as they take off, you guys know what's coming. They get completely sideswiped here as, yes, They get sideswiped, and they get taken out. So we see multiple members here of the Syndicate come out from each side, and they're running towards, kind of the back here, and it is the Syndicate who is here, and they jump. Sammy, Bach, and One Man Army, and they throw these guys, they're beating on these guys. They take them back to the ring. They throw them back inside the ring. And now it is a 5-on-2 situation as, we now have this setup where here we are as the Syndicate have sort of divided and conquered here as, Wolf Hawkins taking out Sammy Bach here, Doc Hammond going at One Man Army, given their history. You've got Chandler and Johnson getting involved, Chris Flynn, the Muscle. They're all in there. And it's 5-on-2 in the middle of the ring, and we just continue the beatdown here. More of a beatdown on Bach and Army. Divine is handcuffed. T-Bone and Fortune are gone. We don't know where Aaron Andrews is at. The babyfaces were standing tall to start the show, but now the Syndicate has returned, and they have led, T-Bone and Fortune on some kind of chase here. Divine's out of the equation. Again, Andrews, we don't know where he's at. Is he in the car? And that is when, afterwards, these two have been taken out, and Wolf just kind of looks down at Bach and just says, we accept the challenge. And then we see Wolf kind of pat all the other guys and then point towards the back as if they have more business to take care of as the Syndicate hop out of the ring and start to make their way back, seemingly, towards the back and perhaps the parking lot area where Daryl Divine is still handcuffed. And so that is how we finish up this edition of Total Wrestling 71 here for this one, and we get a 79 for the show. We'll take that. That'll help us in terms of increasing our popularity. We did get rid of the production notes, so we're not having those penalties anymore for the production. We just upped them all to be able to match our rivals, which financially, I don't know what that's going to look like, but that's at least what we're doing. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't have to, take out some money to pay for it, but we did up all that, so that helped our overall rating here, not to have those penalties of looking like whatever, lesser than the competition or whatever. But get to 79, and that is how we finish up this edition. Like I said, the Syndicate making their return, leading some babyfaces on a chase here, but a lot of questions coming out of this, as clearly Wolf Hawkins put a plan in place, but there's so many questions to figure out what exactly happened here. Divine was taken out. We still don't know where Andrews is. Who was in the car? A lot of questions here as we move forward, heading towards the war to settle the score. All right, let's see what we get to before we wrap up. All right, that was Total Wrestling. Excellent show. We struck gold. That's always a nice thing to have. SWF, we look at them. They got an excellent show. They also struck gold. So let's see what they had here. 79. So we matched each other in that regard. 80, some of their top matches. So that's good. We'll look at the ratings here in a second, but let's look at the male. Frankie Perez, I think he's on my short list, hired by GSW. Joel Bryan has an opinion. Ernest Youngman is pretty good in the ring. You should push the kid. Well, Joel, I think we're doing that. I think we're certainly on the way to pushing Mr. Ernest Youngman. So I appreciate that. Good to see you agree. And we get a 3.31, about 2.5 million viewers. So let's go to our ratings here, and let's see exactly what happened on the ratings front. So overall show rating at 79 each, but still about 3.5 million, or no, about 4 million more ahead of Supreme Wrestling, or Supreme TV, that is. Let's look at the TV rating and all that. Yep. Still staying ahead. So we're good there. So that was Total Wrestling. Like I said, the heels have returned. The strategies of war, the art of war, I guess you could say, they're officially in play here as Syndicate had a plan, but now we got a lot of questions to come as to what this plan looked like and how they were able to pull it off. We'll find out perhaps next week on Total Wrestling. But for now, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the WWE, AEW, Exploring the Steverse, all those fun series, a lot of other stuff on the channel. You can go back through, look at some of our retro stuff that we're doing, a lot more of those on the way. And like I said, I appreciate you guys' patience. It was kind of a busy week, as I mentioned. Haven't had one of those in a while in terms of work where we just kind of had a thing to do all week. So just picking back up now though. And again, I also appreciate your patience on my voice. I know it doesn't sound great, but for whatever reason, you guys know that I seem to lose my voice like every couple months. I don't know why that is, but it just seems to happen sometimes. So I get a little under the weather, and all of a sudden I lose my voice, and it happens. So we continue to grind through it, but I appreciate your support as always. And again, be sure to hit that subscribe button. A lot of fun stuff on the way here with our TCW Save. So on the next episode of our TCW Save, it will be Total Wrestling for February Week 3.